the number of votes cast should be reflected in the composition of Parliament. That is really the start and the end for me of this debate. But it's not just about the technicalities of systems. I remember in particular the deep sense of alienation growing up in the North East in the 1980s, knowing that in a time of huge change, the mines going, the shipyards going, the social fabric of the area really being completely transformed. The sense of having no purchase, no say, no input into a government that frankly didn't care how the North East of England voted in terms of Sunderland and Durham, where I was from, and no ability to change the course of the country's direction when it has such a big impact. And I think of that when we have this argument about strong and weak government. I mean, strong government to me means good government. It doesn't mean a government with an artificial majority propelled into that majority by a system when the people themselves haven't voted. Whatever you think of things like the Iraq War or the poll tax, they were examples of strong government. I would argue very strongly they're afraid not examples of good government. And even more than that, it is an interesting question, and there'll be different views in this chamber, of whether our political culture has shaped our electoral system or whether it's our electoral system which has shaped our political culture. But I do worry quite a lot about the direction of the political culture and the way we deal with political problems in this country. It seems to me we are going further and further down a route towards a deep, reductive tribalism that has kind of forgotten the purpose of politics, and that is to solve problems, that is to come together and solve problems. And instead of that, we're seeing, frankly, a degree of partisanship, which the system is clearly based on, but which is frankly getting, I would say, more and more absurd. We have seen, for instance, in relation to the forthcoming budget, a series of quite interesting proposals leaked from the Cabinet, all of which would have breached the fiscal responsibility charter of former Chancellor George Osborne that many of those Conservatives themselves would have voted for. It was obviously nonsense, but it was trapped into that two-party system which still is propelled by the electoral system. We have seen, frankly, people express strong views elected to this chamber. They're not even going to talk to people on the other side or be friendly with them. To me, that is a completely false direction for this country to go in. And at the heart of that is, I believe, an electoral system which doesn't ask people to vote positively for things. It asks people to vote against things. That's all that first past the post can do. And yes, there are problems with any system. And there are, frankly, a situation where there is no perfect system and we all would find problems with it. But there are clearly examples, and the rest of the world shows, to be honest, far better democratic systems than ours. I think the example of Scotland and Wales show better democratic systems than that we use for this country in terms of England and the UK.